Previously, we configured our ES6 project with a start and a build script that could fire Webpack and bundle a main.js file for us. Next, we'll configure Webpack to build this bundled main.js file in a way that is viewable from the browser. To configure Webpack, we'll provide a new webpack.config.js file at the root of the project. So that's webpack.config.js. Whenever we run Webpack within this project now, Webpack will pick up this webpack.config.js file where we can add settings to direct Webpack how to behave. It works by exporting an overall object as a module with module.exports equals an object with a pair of curly braces. And for starters, let's control what files Webpack will bundle and where it generates the bundled files. So to control what files Webpack will look to for bundling, we provide an entry key. And then the value of this key is a directory to look for the JavaScript code to bundle. For us, that is currently source, but let's suppose that we actually have a directory called app. Likewise, let's update the name of our source directory to app as well. Moving on in the webpack.config.js file, we also want to tell Webpack where to generate the files and what to name it. We control this with the output key, and this output key takes in an object as its value. First, we provide the path where we want this to actually build. So let's make a build directory, which will be the output of the actual Webpack command. And then the file name that it'll actually use for the bundled JavaScript will be bundle.js. Great. With Webpack configured, let's try rerunning our npm run start script to see if it enters the app directory that we now have in our project and outputs bundled code to the build directory under build/bundle.js. So in our command line now, let's run npm run start. And then as we do so, well, we actually get an error, and perhaps this is not the result that you were expecting. The error says that we must have an absolute path in our configuration file. Well, as it turns out, Webpack expects absolute paths for the configuration object. As a quick overview, an absolute path differs from a relative path in that an absolute path is a string that includes every parent directory of the path all the way to the root of the system. So the absolute path helps avoid confusion as to where to place the output files on the system, which is especially important, for example, if you're running Webpack on a remote machine in the cloud that you may not necessarily be watching. To provide this absolute path then as the solution, in our webpack.config.js file, luckily we can work with a module that is fittingly called path. So at the top of the webpack.config.js file, let's make a path constant that is set to the result of requiring the native path module. And within path, we now have a resolve function, which can build an absolute path based off of two arguments. Argument 1 is a variable which will represent the entire working directory name for the project. So instead of entry app, let's call path.resolve. And as mentioned, the first argument is the entire dir name for the project, which will be the absolute path up to the directory name for this project. And then the second argument is the ending string to add on top of that, which will be app. So overall, call path.resolve __ dir name as the first argument, and then after a comma for the second argument, we have the app string. We'll take a similar approach with our build directory. We'll call path.resolve. The first argument is dir name, and the second argument is our build directory name. Perfect. Now let's try npm run start once more. And great, this time the app/index.js file was successfully built. In the code editor now, if you open up the file directory, well, you'll notice that we now have a build directory with the bundle.js code, which looks just like the main.js file which we had before. All right, since our Webpack configuration now outputs to the build directory, we're no longer in need of this dist directory, so go ahead and remove that from the project and delete it. As one last thing, notice that we keep having to run npm run start. Well, it would be convenient if we had a setup that could automatically rerun the start script if we noticed that there were changes made to anything in the app directory. Luckily, we can gain that power with the Webpack Dev Server module. So go ahead and install Webpack Dev Server as a dev dependency for this project, which is at version 3.1.4 as of this project. So run npm I Webpack Dev Server at 3.1.4 with the save dev option. And now in the package.json file, we're going to modify our start script. It'll still run in the development mode, but then this time it'll fire Webpack Dev Server. Awesome. Now before we start the server, it'll be nice to actually have some content to serve. And to serve formatted content on the browser, well, we need an HTML file. So let's add an index.html file to our build directory. To start this HTML file, well, we need the special doctype tag for HTML, which uniquely has a bang operator as the first argument, and then doctype in all caps, and then HTML for the first tag. Then we provide a normal pair of HTML tags. So have one HTML opening tag and one closing tag with a slash, and then a pair of body tags. So same structure, body, and then slash body. And then within here, we're going to provide a script tag, which points to the local source equals bundle.js file, which is then going to be continually built by our Webpack configuration file and command. Excellent. Finally, we'll also want to customize our development server. So in webpack.config.js, let's provide a new key called dev server. First up, let's give it a specific port to run on. And for us, that will be 3000. And we'll also provide a content base key, which tells the server what actual directory to start serving content from. And for us, that is the build directory, which we'll also use path.resolve for, passing in dir name, and the second argument is the build string, once again, just like our output path. Now, as we add this, go ahead and save all the files, and then head back to your command line now. Let's go ahead and run npm run start. You'll also want to open a new browser tab, and then visit localhost 3000, so that way you can check out the new HTML in action. And as you do so, notice that you get a blank page. However, this is deceivingly powerful since our HTML doesn't display anything, but if you inspect the element with a control click and then hitting inspect, you're going to find the console tab of the actual command, and then there it is, hello Webpack, appearing on the browser. And if you reload, again, you'll find hello Webpack once more. Now, this becomes very cool because we have a development server, which can pick up changes live as we make them to our app directory. So within app/index.js, let's go ahead and add a second console.log. We're going to add a console.log to hello in the browser. And then when you save this, Webpack Dev Server will pick up those changes and then reload the application automatically for us. All right, perfect. As one last step for this actual project setup, we need to make sure that it can handle ES6 code with modern syntax, no matter the browser that is being used, even if that browser may be Internet Explorer. Who knows, a valuable user of our app could even be using that medium. So this is where Babel and transpilation comes in. Let's add Babel next.